All right, I've just started the recording now. It's 6:32, and I will start over again. I would like to make a motion to open the April 15th, 2021 New Paltz Town Board as Police Commission meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. And announcements? Do you have any, Rob? Chief?
Yep, I have a few. The first is that our monthly Conversations with the Police program will be resuming on April 21st. We started that last spring, early summer, and paused it during the winter time because we did not want to hold any indoor meetings. We will be starting on the 21st. It'll be at Peace Park from 5:30 to 6:30. It's on our calendar, and for 2021, these will be the third Wednesday of the month. Times and locations will vary so that we can try to accommodate as many people's schedule as possible. And I would just encourage people to check the website calendar. We'll make notification of those dates a week or two beforehand so people know where they will be. It's great. It's just again, the informal, no agenda, just a time for police and the members of the community to get together to talk. So I'm hoping that we'll get more people out as the year progresses. National Drug Take Back Day is April 24th. And just to remind everybody that the opioid prevention response team, we're going to be in Hasbrook Park from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. On the 24th, excuse me. So people can dispose of any unwanted, unused medications or sharps at Hasbrook Park. They can also register for Narcan training, pick up a drug destruction pouch if necessary, and any other literature for prevention resources that are available to them. If they can't make the Hasbrook Park, then at any time that they want, people can dispose of any unwanted medications or sharps here at the police department. With that being said, we've been continuing our efforts for community Narcan training drive, and there will be a Narcan training. I believe it's on the 23rd, whatever the fourth Friday of this month is. There'll be another virtual Narcan training as well. And the last I have is that we are going to be, the police department will be hosting a community police academy in the fall. We are set to, we're not sure if it's going to be 8 or 9 weeks, but it'll run September through October, maybe even into the first week in November. And Citizen Police Academy, Community Police Academy, we'll have a class a week. And at this point, we're looking at Wednesday evenings from 6 to 9 p.m. I'll have more information, especially about registration in May, but we're excited about that and hoping that that'll spur some interest as well. And that's all I have for announcements.
Thank you.
Great. I'd like to
Thank you.
open the floor for public, any questions or comments. I mean, anyone public comments. I'd like to ask you to raise your hand and we will call on you. And I can't see everyone, so you should use the digital hand, but I can see you, Tom, but normally I can't. So, because I only see the side. There's too many people for me to see everyone, but I saw you this time because there's no one here. But usually it's best if people raise their hand. But Tom, go ahead, please.
Sure. Just two things. Thank you, and welcome to spring, I guess, to all of us. One is I was wondering if there's any update on the index crimes data being submitted to the state. Okay. And the other one is after the April 1st session in which you adopted the EO 203 report that had been submitted by some call it the steering committee, and everyone talked about, on your side, talked about how it would be an ongoing process to do that. At what point do you think you'll come forward with what you envision that process to be? So those are the two questions I have.
I mean, we're still, I mean, I think this is the first meeting we've had since then. So I think, you know, the board, we're still reading it, but I would expect at the next meeting, we're going to start talking about it. So probably not tonight. I think we're still kind of working through it, but I would stay tuned. I would imagine we're going to start having conversations pretty regularly.
And
Tom,
and
as
is
far as the
there
data,
any-
as far as the data
Thank
is
you.
concerned, the 2019 data should be up there at DCJS. The last I heard, they're trying to work through the 2020 data, but 2019 data, from what we've been told by DCJS, is if you contact them, it's available and it should be up there. If you run into any problems, let me know.
Okay. Will do. Thank you.
Yep.
Maggie?
Yes, hi, thank you. I'm wondering about, I understand that the police commission needs to review the report, but I guess I'm wondering, will it be what purview will the police commission have, or the town board? What is going to be the responsible agency for trying to implement those things? And so I question whether I should be reading a statement to the police commission or the town board, and I suppose the town board, but that's the question. I mean, do people have an understanding on how will that be created? How will the understanding be created for, you know, who essentially will be designated to follow through on whatever the plan may or may not do? And that, I guess that's a big question, because then I would know who to direct questions to whenever I come to these public forums. But so that's a question, you know, is it the police commission that questions about the plan should be directed to, or should it be to the town board? And maybe that's not decided, and I don't
Well, right now, we're the same. So,
think it's necessary to answer that, obviously, right now.
but I think right now,
Okay.
we're the same.
Okay.
In the future, once we implement the citizens portion of the police commission, there'll probably be some things that they're responsible for, and there are some things by law that the town board has to be responsible for. I think it will vary on what
Okay.
the plan, the item is. So that's the best I can answer. If anyone else
Okay.
has any thoughts,
Yeah. And
So I'm happy to just chime in quickly. And by the way, my screen is off, not because I'm ignoring you, but just my internet lags sometimes, and it's easier to do that. So I agree with what Neil said. I think kind of the first order of business that we've kind of heard from people and also highlighted in the report is the phasing out of the town board as the police commission. Just speaking for myself as an individual, I think that is the first large major step. And that is something that I definitely want us to start the conversation on at our next meeting, our next police commission meeting specifically. And then from there, as the report reads, there are items that are, like Neil said, definitely going to reside within the town board, whether we're the police commission or not. Some things will be police commission. And then a number of those items as well, I think will refer to the entities that oversee them. You know, there's some recommendations that go beyond our town purview as both the police commission and the town council as well too.
Yeah, this
Thank you.
is
And one last thing that's not related. Sorry, David.
Yeah, just wanted to chime in. I agree with what Neil and Dan are saying. I think at the next meeting we'll begin to. I think the first order of business for us is if we are in agreement for a citizens police commission, we'll move toward that. I think that is the first order of business that we'll want to attend to, hopefully starting next meeting, and then just like they said, depending on the question, because I think we'll still have budgetary responsibilities either way. the town board will.
Thank you.
Any other comments? If not, we will move on to executive session. So I'm going to pause the camera and put everyone into executive session.
Supervisor,
chief.
the executive session is really, really short. I don't know if you want to wait until the end on that. It's up
Yeah,
to
we
you.
can do
It'd
the
be
end.
really short.
Okay, we'll do that later on. Okay, so the monthly report, I'll hand it over to you, Chief.
Okay, so for the monthly report portion, wanted to go through this. First thing I wanted to highlight is just a couple things in the detectives, for the detectives reports, cases that we've been handling. We had 3 cases of note, all involving a firearm in the month of March. One was an incident down on Main Street in the late evening hours. A subject had an altercation had taken place, and an individual had brandished a weapon there. We're working with the DA's office on that. Obviously, the shooting at a Raleigh Mexican restaurant, officers responded there, and charges are pending, and the case is being handled by the district attorney's office. And then we responded to a mental health welfare call on March 25th. Involving a firearm, so those are 3 cases that the detectives were involved with, I would say the latter two, the shooting at the restaurant and the incident on Old Kingston Road, required resources with the state, the sheriff, and even Ulster County Emergency Management. So just wanted to thank them for all the assistance that they were able to give us on that as well. In terms of commendations, I believe we have 4 commendations to go over for the month. Yep. The first one was just a thank you note that somebody had, an email that somebody had sent us, just wanting to share their appreciation for the members here at the department. It was an individual who had made a donation to the PBA, but wanted to follow it up with a phone call and email. I just wanted to thank everyone for the work that they did. The second commendation was for Sergeant Lewis, from a resident and community member who Sergeant Lewis helped in aiding their dog, so had sent an email. She was in the store shopping. The dog had opened up the car window and gotten out, and Sergeant Lewis was able to help locate the animal and reunite them. So there's a thank you to, it was via email, for Teresa Hart, our administrative assistant. Just wanting to thank her for her work in the email, indicating that she represents the department and the community very well, and just appreciative for all of her help and her willingness to be there for them. And then the fourth commendation was for Sergeant Fuco, Sergeant Quigley, and Officer James, a local family, wanting to thank them for just their kindness, patience, and understanding when a family member had passed away, and just the kindness that they had given them and shown them. We often see people at their most vulnerable times. So, when you get a letter like this, it means a lot, and just appreciative for what the officers did in that case. We have 5 defensive action reports total. One of them there are 3 separate incidences, but 5 total reports. The first defensive action report involves a 33-year-old female approximately 5 feet 3 inches tall, 130 pounds, medium build, white Hispanic. This was an incident that occurred during a physical domestic dispute. The individual was engaged or had engaged in a physical altercation with another person there. The officer in this case had grabbed this woman to try and separate her from fighting another individual. And when doing so, they slipped and fell down. Ultimately, they ended up calming this person down and turning them over to a family member. No charges were levied against the individual. She complied, and they were able to mediate the situation without any arrest or anything at all, filing just a domestic incident report. I don't know if there's any questions about that one.
I do have a question.
Yep.
If you don't mind, Chief. So what was the defensive action?
In this particular case, we filed the report. The officer went to physically separate the two women from fighting, and in doing so, the one party, and they ended up on the ground. So we filed the defensive action report. It was physical contact for that reason.
Okay. So both the officer was on the ground and at least one.
They fell backwards off of. They were on a staircase when they were engaged in the altercation. So he went to go to separate them. He grabbed the one party, and then they went down onto the ground, and ultimately ended up not filing any charges. We're able to mediate it. They did. I thought they did a good job in terms of how they mediated there, and even in dealing with the other half of the domestic situation. I thought they did a pretty good job of that.
Any injuries?
No. Nope.
Chief, did you say that you did have body camera on that issue, or was that turned off? It was.
Nope.
So you got to review that incident completely.
Yep.
Thank you.
The next set of defensive action reports. There's 2 defensive action reports, and this is for the shooting at the O'Reilly Mexican restaurant, and that was back on the 20th of March. On both of these reports, there are no persons listed. The officers filed defensive action reports because they had their firearms unholstered and deployed, but they were at the low ready. They did not point their firearms at anyone. So in this particular case, the call came in as a 911 call for a shooting with the subject shot inside the bar. It wasn't clear initially if where the gunman was at that point. Officers arrived. They stationed outside and then approached, deploying a ballistic shield and their firearms. And so because of that, they both filed their defensive action report. But as I said, there's no one listed on either report because they did not point their firearm at any individual. Once they established and knew that the subject who had possessed the gun was detained and that the gun was not in their possession, holstered up, and then that's when they began to secure the crime scene and render assistance to the individual who had been shot. So I don't know if there's any questions about that one.
Rob, just really quickly, just in general, there have been quite a few cases recently, and again, it's what I've read, where guns are involved. Have you seen an uptick in gun use for any reason in the last couple of months, or is it average?
We're seeing, I think, slightly more incidences involving guns, and we're seeing slightly more incidents involving guns and mental health. We had another incident. It'll be reflected in next month's report. Domestic situation, mental health situation involving a firearm, and our officers responders during the overnight shift. But we are seeing them. I don't want to panic anybody, but yeah, I mean, we are seeing that, absolutely.
I guess it just makes me think about public service announcements, not, have it be a healthy thing to just let people know that there are many ways to deal with mental health, and that, I think we've gone over this before, how do you get the message out to people knowing that there's a place that they can go to for help. And there's so many issues, you know, in certain communities, you don't go to a therapist, but maybe you go to your church, you know, or maybe you go to a different place. So it just, you know, gives me something to think about if it increases, how do we address this issue? So just sort of thinking a little proactively. If you start seeing an uptick in this, how can we address the community as a public health in a public health way, letting them know that there are alternatives. You know, sometimes that helps. So just curious. Thanks.
Okay. I think that's a great idea, Alex. And yeah, I wonder if Phoenix's office can maybe make their services more available and out front, that those things are available. That's a great idea.
Yeah, that would be great.
I do agree public service announcements make a lot of sense, because I think a lot of times many people don't associate, you know, gun violence with mental health, and obviously it's not always linked, but it, you know, maybe raising the awareness that, you know, you, by watching out for your friends or neighbors, you might very well be helping, you know, in a large way that you didn't expect.
Yeah. I mean, I know it sounds a little out there, but, you know, instead of having those big signs that say you're going too fast, which by the way are really good, because I catch myself often, I'm like, no, but one that says, you know, having, you know, if you have a mental health issue, or you know someone who does, call this number. You know, I don't know, just a thought.
Sorry. Phoenix is, maybe she can give us an update soon, but she's working on a project with a group to put up a web page that will do some screening for mental health stuff. You guys, we'll get an update soon. We're still working on the contract with them, but it's a free service that's getting donated to the town because of the work Phoenix does. So we're working on it.
That's great. Thanks, Neil.
That's great. And also just second your idea, Alex, about, you know, if the chief, if both, you have two signs, do you have two of those electronic signs?
No, just the one.
Just one. Yeah. So if that one is not crucial, and we can use that for just letting people know. I think it's a particularly tough time for people. They're out of gas on COVID. People are just absolutely done. The weather's getting nice, and they're just not able to get back to normal completely yet. And I think this is the time where it's going to be the toughest for people to hold on and just kind of persevere.
I'll certainly circle around to, you know, Phoenix, and I'll talk to, you know, Phil Kraus as well. He does a lot with our own mental health and service and the training with CIT. So I'll circle around with that and see what kind of messaging can come up with. Absolutely.
Yeah, to the extent that if you want to work with any of us who've spoken up, I guess, or any of the board members, just let us know.
Absolutely.
It's something that I think is really important. I love the idea that we could let people know that in many different ways that there are people out there who care. And I think that idea of using a sign is so surprising. You know, you're so used to it saying something completely different that, you know, it's really like people might see it as this really does matter. You know, people really do care.
Yeah, I mean, something as, you know, like I said, ridiculous as, you know, like our town loves you. If you have mental health issues, call this number, you know, so that they know that we really do care. And it is, like David said, it's a really tough time. I know a lot of people who are friends of mine who are they're having a hard time, and they call you and they talk and you're like, you know what, it's going to be okay. And we're lucky that we're in a close-knit community, but maybe some people don't have that. So to know that the town cares, that we care, I think is super important. Yeah,
absolutely. I definitely will circle around and see what they have. Also see, you know, what other programs are being put out there as far as the county goes. You know, with that, you know, in all of these cases, we are working with, you know, Mobile Mental Health, Family of Woodstock as well, to try and provide, you know, outreach and resources for the people involved with this. So it's not that, you know, we don't just handle it and then move. It's, you know, a lot of this is then trying to follow up and see what services are available, and then, you know, how we can connect them with those services. So I have one other, the third incident involving defensive action. 2 reports were filed for this. This was again, a defensive action from stemming from a domestic dispute. The individual involved in this is a 28-year-old male, approximately 6 feet tall, 250 pounds, large build, white, non-Hispanic. Officers responded to a domestic disturbance, they interviewed the female party to this domestic, learned that the male half who had initiated the incident was downstairs in the apartment. The officers knocked on the door to try to make contact with that individual. The person called to them at one point, didn't want to open up the door. They were trying to communicate with this person through the doorway. At some point during this, a deputy who was there on the scene assisting observed the individual grab a knife and walk towards the front door. He warned the officers. The officers took a step back from the doorway. One of the officers deployed their taser and the other a firearm. They provided verbal commands to the individual and were able to cuff him and secure him without any incident. They did locate a knife on his person, and then ultimately were able to mediate the situation as far as the domestic is concerned.
And it's rarely produced.
And no charges were filed against this individual. At this point, we are following up with the female complainant on this case. So there may be some charges related to the incident prior to the officer's arrival, but no charges filed by us in that particular case. And I don't know if there's any questions anyone has related to that defensive action. Again, there's 2 reports, one for the taser and one for the firearm.
So, so when I read through that, just to be kind of make it clear, the officer took the taser out, but they did not fire it at the person. Is that right? So
correct. Yes. Yep. Just deployed, and because it was deployed, we filed a defensive action report. So.
And Chief, this is a little bit of maybe a naive question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Why are we entitled to publicly announce these defensive action reports and with subjects' names and things like that when there's not necessarily a charge or anything like that? Can you just explain that?
Well, we don't give the names of the individual who are, in this particular case, the domestic. We wouldn't provide the individual names the same way we're not providing the officers' names on these, because these are, in some of these instances, it's not a case of charges being filed against the person. So, we don't want to have those names out there. And especially when we're dealing with situations that are involving mental health. The defensive action report is there to document the use of force by the officers. These are also a training tool for us to look at and evaluate. They're also a tool to determine whether or not are we engaged in a pattern of behavior that we shouldn't be. These are the purposes of these forms, and having this review process in place is part of that. But that's why we don't give names. We just use descriptors. And even in the annual report that contains this information, there's no names or information in there. It's strictly descriptors that we use.
Thank you.
So I'll move on with the monthly report to the training portion of that report. Just a couple things I wanted to highlight in the training report itself. That in the month of March, we had most of the officers members attended a 3-day in-service training. It was in service for our medical training, intimate partner violence intervention program, which we are going to have operational on May 1st. And then part 1 of the principal policing course, or the procedural justice is what they call it. So this is a DCJS course. It's a 3-part course. The first two parts are procedural justice, and the third is implicit bias. Detective Sergeant Sutton and Officer Peace attended trained the trainer for this. So we have begun our in-service with this. As a matter of fact, I attended a webinar related to this for procedural justice for the law enforcement executives by DCJS, talking about this particular course and how it can be utilized in a variety of entities. It's not solely for police departments. But in this particular case, our two trainers are Detective Sergeant Sutton, Officer Peace. So we'll be finishing up this training cycle next week, and then everyone will have completed that, and we'll be doing the implicit bias portion in November, slated to do that. And as I note on the bottom, Detective Sergeant Sutton attended that train the trainer portion in March as well. And then the only other things I wanted to highlight in terms of the training report regarding Officer Kraus, he participated with the Ulster County Sheriff's Office in a drug take-back detail with the Oracle, the Ulster County Sheriff's team. He has been working with that group, but just highlighting that he's spending a lot of time dealing and attending meetings related to CIT, Oracle, and the Ellenville Regional Hospital NET program. And he will be instructing, he'll be one of the instructors at the CIT training that is going to be held in June. And we're going to hopefully have 4 to 5 members that'll be attending that as well. The only other thing I wanted to talk about really quick with that medical training is just, and I apologize if I stumble or I just talk incessantly about this, ramble on, excuse me, is that with this particular training, it's medical in nature, and it's our CFR program, but we also integrate in this a lot about our policies and procedures. So part of our training curriculum involved with this was not just not just about how to stop bleeding and CPR, but we talked about our person in crisis policy and how how we will deal with persons in crisis. We review our officer defensive action policy, specifically the rendering of medical assistance and aid and how that has to be done. We talk about our our prisoner transport and medical treatment policy. So it's not just about policies related to actual the aid itself, but we want to make sure that we're integrating everything that all the other policies that relate to that in this training. So our lesson plan covers all of that, and it's what we do on a regular basis. But I did want to just point that out and make sure that to note that for you all. As far as the monthly report goes, that's all I have for that. So I know there's a couple other items on the agenda, but that's all I have for the monthly report, unless anybody has any questions.
I'm all set. If no one else has any other questions, we will move into executive session. I think we need to go into executive session before we do the other items on the report. So I'm going to pause the recording and send everyone to the waiting room. This should be a pretty short executive session. So resumed the recording. It is 7:09. We were in there maybe 4 or 5 minutes tops. And so I'd like to make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
And I would like to make a motion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 And I'd like to make a motion to refer the hiring of part-time dispatcher Cole Nicholas to the town board.
Second.
All in
So
favor?
if I could just talk a little bit about it. Cole is a 2016 graduate over at Marlboro High School. He was a dispatcher applicant that we had interviewed last fall, and then ultimately put a pause on his background to the end when we were at hiring freezes. He would be filling a one of several vacant part-time dispatcher slots that we do need to fill. What's nice about Cole is that he is currently working part-time at the town of Lloyd. They're very happy with him, and he, as because of his part-time experience there, he's pretty versed in the county's records management system. So we're hoping that his onboard training will be shorter than most. So there were no issues in the background. People spoke very well of him. We're hoping, if approved, then we would begin his field training around on or before May 1st, in the hopes that he'd be operational here for us by July 1st. There's always a lag time from hiring to actually having somebody ready and prepared to sit behind the desk by themselves. And as I said, we have several vacant slots due to resignations already. And we're finding ourselves in a position where we're mandating dispatchers, full-time dispatchers to cover tours. So I think this will definitely be helpful, especially as we move into the summer months when people want some more time off. So,
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
To make a motion to refer the request to expend $6,365 from the Police Department Computer Reserve Fund to purchase extended warranty for 2021-2022 on the WatchGuard in-car cameras, body-worn cameras, and software to the town board.
So with this request, this is the fund that we set up last year and that we put a little money towards each year now, so that we can, for maintenance. The $6,000 or $6,300 figure, this would cover the two patrol in-car camera systems that which warranties would be expired, the 12 body cameras, as well as our evidence library software. A camera itself costs a little over $6,000, with the initial warranty. For in-car camera system, and a body camera is about $1,000. So what's nice about having the extended warranty for us is that should anything happen, they send us a replacement right away, and then we ship back the unit, the non-functioning unit, and either they will repair it or just let us keep the replacement unit. And so with these programs, it's important, and I think that this is a wise purchase, to make sure that we stay operational and don't expend any other money. The cost for some of these things, I can get into a little bit of that if there's any questions about the alternative.
How many years is the extended warranty?
This warranty will cover everything through 2022. So when we buy an in-car camera system, you can, it comes with the 1 year, but then we always elect to purchase a 5-year extended warranty with the in-car cameras. That's why we're only going to be covering 2 cameras. This will cover a 6th year for 2 of our in-car cameras that'll expire. The body cameras we purchased outright, we held off on an extended warranty just because of the technology. We did not want to lock ourselves into an extended warranty with these. The price would not have been much different by choosing this course. And so this will give us all 12 cameras through 2022.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and I think that's all we have. So I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the Police Commission meeting.
Second, David?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And I would like to make a motion to open the town board meeting.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
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 And please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. You can do the pledge, Wendy? I pledge allegiance
to the flag
Allegiance to the
of the
flag
United
of the
States
United
United
States
States of America
and to
and
the
to the
republic
and
republic
to the republic
for
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
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 God,
God,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and justice for all.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Uh, um, All, so
Is there an
announcements.
addition? Sorry,
Uh,
about the agenda. Is there an addition?
I was going to just do that during the announcements if you want to, or we can have a discussion about the RFP. So the announcements are that, all town offices are going to be closed to the public. Wendy, come on. You gotta eat one now. Are going to be closed on April 23rd for Records Management Day. And then the other announcement I have is that just so everyone knows, we've been working on this the landfill on the solar project on the landfill for a while. If you remember back years ago, we got a bunch of responses to the original RFP, and we wanted to look at the solar project on the landfill and then in the woods. The first project, the recipient fell through, so we went to the second applicant. That eventually fell through as well. We asked them to come up with 2 bids, one for the landfill, one for off the landfill. They weren't interested in doing it off the landfill. It's not a very good site. And so we've kind of run out of people that we're talking to. So we've decided to reissue the RFP, the same RFP we issued before, and we're asking for applications for just the landfill. And so if anyone is interested in, we're trying to, beat the bushes and get people to apply here. The RFP is on the town's website, and proposals are due May 5th. So we're still trying to get some people and do the solar project. So that's kind of the update Julie was asking about. Is that enough, Julie, or did you want to talk some more about it?
Oh, that's it.
I have an announcement too, just
Yeah.
very quickly. So I just want to let people know that currently Ulster County, 47% of all residents have had at least their first dose. Of eligible residents for the vaccine, Ulster County is probably in the upper 50s. That makes us one of the most highly vaccinated counties in New York State, actually, which is exciting. But it also means too that at this point, because of the amount of vaccines that are available, that the remaining people who have not gotten their vaccine have either chosen not to do that or have other barriers to do that. There are plenty of vaccination appointments here in New Paltz at the fairground at the state site, also through the county as well. So I just wanted to note this because I think if you're someone who is on a government meeting and listening, you're probably someone who's slightly more engaged in the process. And we're really looking for people who may not watch a meeting, may not read the paper, may not even have internet access. And I just really wanted to implore people in our community that if you know someone who needs help doing that, to let them know. It's vaccinateulster.com. You can go. If someone wants an appointment in Ulster County, they can get them. There's more vaccines than, frankly, there are people who want them at this point as well. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there for everyone as well.
I also wanted to add that as of today, we have 48 vaccinated undocumented migrants.
That's awesome.
And Dan, is there any update on vaccinating kids who are 12 and older? I know they were talking about potentially an emergency approval on starting to vaccinate kids. Do you have any update on that? No pressure to answer that question if you don't have.
No, I know that that's a decision that the federal government will have to make. I don't know where they stand with that, but I know that that is the eventual goal. I do think some of that has to do with some of the authorizations from the vaccines. So I'm not sure where that stands, but I think at some point we will get there.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. So if there are no other announcements, and if people couldn't hear me before, I was distracted. Town offices will be closed on Friday, April 23rd for Records Management Day. And with that, I'd like to open it up for anyone who has public comments. You raise your virtual hand. Yes, Tom.
I think Tom's muted.
Gotta unmute, Tom. Gotta unmute.
I keep asking.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I was wondering if there's any kind of an update on the bike ped path for Du Bois.
We're still
There was
waiting.
supposed to be a follow-up in January, I thought.
Yeah, we're still
ahead.
waiting.
Sorry.
We're still waiting. We've submitted it to DOT. We're still waiting. We thought
I see.
we thought we'd hear back back then as well, but no, nothing yet. Anyone else? Okay, with that, I'd like to move on to the natural resources inventory feedback session. Amanda and Janelle. I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you. So I hope that the members of the board have had an opportunity to look at both the report itself, the document, and also the online story maps. And what we are hoping to get from you tonight is your feedback, your impressions, your thoughts about both the report and then the storyboard as far as its usability, if there were any problems you had navigating it or so forth, that'll help us with the training. So maybe if we start with the report first, has anyone taken a look at it and just see what's in there? Okay,
I mean, I've taken a look at it. I read it. I think it's a nice. I actually learned some stuff. I don't know as much about geology as I would like. I also read the water one. I thought it was a nice mix of kind of big picture where it kind of lays it out and ties a bunch of different things together. It also is I think approachable enough where if you don't have a background, you kind of read it. And you can learn a lot about, I think, the town, the natural, history of the town. It's a nice book, nicely done. And the storyboard I liked because I am I'm old enough where I remember when GIS was a new thing, and you had to take an entire class as a college student just to kind of like figure it out. And it was even then it was pretty complicated. And I think at the higher level stuff that I think Ingrid does, it's still really complicated. So I'm glad we have her, but I like this because I think it kind of makes that information freely available to the public. So it's like a democratization, I think, of the data. So I like it. I think it's a useful tool. It's a little frustrating that the different tabs I can't put like maybe like the natural history on top of the watershed, but I think it is what it is. It can't have too many layers all at the same time, I'm sure. That would be my biggest complaint, is that there are times when things are not kind of what are they in a box as much. You might want to mix those different layers, and you can't, but whatever, I get it. It's fine. It's a nice job. You guys did a good job.
Okay, thank you.
I have some feedback, Amanda.
Great.
I read the two sections of the rec resources and the historical resources. In 10.1, more about rec resources. In paragraph 2, it should say Route 299, not Route 209.
Oh, okay.
And under historic resources, the New Paltz history overview, in paragraph 2, I believe the word archaic is poorly chosen. and might be better characterized as a non-sedentary hunter-gatherer groups and tribes, not archaic, or other more appropriate technology, other terminology to describe that. I think archaic is a little old school. Second, is there a fair and accurate, as well as we know it, record of the history of the Native peoples in New Paltz? And can we do more to ensure it's as full and complete as possible? And maybe you've done all of that, and but I do believe that we've done a really good job talking about the history since it was colonized. But I think we owe it to the Native peoples to do a really good job in. And it could be a way to improve relationships with Native peoples, to make sure their history is really outlined in as complete a fashion as possible. So, man, maybe that's already been done. So I don't pretend like I have better information. I don't. That's it on the report. On the storyboard and interactive maps, maybe this is the same thing Neil said, but I had 4 points. One, that the colors change when the multiple layers are activated, so that you can't rely on the color coding anymore, because as soon as you put multiple layers, the colors are no longer matched to the key. I think it's a great initial resource for information, especially for folks who are like wondering what's going on their own land or on land they care about. So I think you did a really good job on that. You know, making like Neil said, this information is now available to all. Third, zooming is a little awkward. Can there be a plus and minus for zooming that makes it much easier to go in and out of detail? And finally, how do you change the sidebars so that you can get like maximum viewing? I'm not sure I knew how to do that. And so maybe that the training or, hey, citizens, you can all come and learn a little bit more about how to do this, use this tool interactively. We'll get to those points because I imagine there's good answers to all these questions. I just didn't know it by myself.
Okay.
That's it. That's it. Thank you so much. I can send you a copy of this feedback if you want.
Yeah, that would help, because I was trying to take notes real fast.
I should have told you that up front. Sorry.
Okay.
Your specific comments are very helpful. And Neil, I really like the term democratization of the data, because that really is the intent, to have full access for just the average person.
If I could just piggyback a little bit on what David said, because it's a segue to his last two comments. In using the map, again, I guess my being an artist and having a very visual reaction to the colors and to the zooming in, you really want to be able to zoom into the section where your clicker is and move around in it and see, again, you're looking at your land or land around you and you're wondering where it switches from one section to another. So where is it wetlands? Where is the geography changing? And I know that that's probably a little bit more technical and maybe too difficult to do with these programming, but eventually it would be so nice to be able to zoom right where your clicker is, because you really can't do that, because you really want to zoom in and say, oh, where does it switch? Where's the line where this property switches from one category to another? Where is it wetlands, or where is it an area that has a species that's protected? And it would almost be really cool. And again, I know this is asking way too much, but having a little pop-up that says protected area, or a little pop-up as your scroller goes in that tells you exactly what you're looking at. And I think it's a little difficult sometimes because you have to refer back to the guide to figure out where you are. Does that make sense?
Maybe. I'm trying to think about what you're saying.
Okay.
I know when you zoom in, you can get to where you're zoomed in so far that it has some, granularity to a point, but then you can get too zoomed in that it can't, the scale doesn't reflect it. So that may be part of what you were running into.
I think that was probably what I was having a reaction to, that I didn't feel like I could understand, still continue to understand the scale as I was zooming in. Yeah.
Right. And I think the other thing that's important to remember is that for many of these resources that are shown, they often do not have strict boundaries. I mean, obviously a river has riverbanks, but a lot of these other things are, especially as they get to their edges, they become more diffuse as they start to change from one thing to another. So, you know, those shapes that you see aren't like you could go out and find it like, you know, like a survey line or something.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah. So,
absolutely. But I enjoyed it very much though. And I think again, like, you know, other folks have said, I learned a lot. So thank you. It was
Okay.
really interesting.
yeah, great. Well, I guess Dan is the only one who hasn't said anything yet. Dan, you have anything? Oh, Julie, I'm sorry, Julie.
Unless Dan wanted to go now. I'll
No,
go.
I'm agreeing with my colleagues. I specifically actually really appreciate some of the points that David brought up too, and recognizing some of the people who were here before us.
That's going to be so all of that information, and actually if you go into the report, there's a lot more detail, but that all came from our Historic Preservation Committee. So we can ask them if what they have available that goes back, you know, predates colonization. I mean, maybe because it, you know, that committee probably started.
I mean, I think it wouldn't hurt to maybe reach out to, you know, the Elting Library and maybe the Huguenot Street. I think that they've put a lot of effort in the last few years to try to update some of that. I think in particular, Huguenot Street has. I think they've made a big effort to kind of revisit some of those, you know, stories.
Okay,
And
that would be.
I apologize if this was done and I missed this, but consulting with Susan Stesson-Cohen, the town historian, as well.
Oh, she's, yeah.
Yeah.
She's definitely been involved in John Orfatelli and oh, the other lady's name escapes me. But we got a lot of input from them. Yeah. So, but this is if they didn't provide us with stuff that we might be able to get from these other two sources, then we definitely want to follow up with those two. Thank you.
Oh, I guess I'll add, I echo a lot of things that have already been said. I do want to thank all of those who worked hard on this, and it's really comprehensive and really impressive, and really, I totally agree with Neil that it's got so many ways. There are so many ways that it's going to allow anyone to, you know, understand what resources we have. And I mean, everything from the different chapters, starting with what geology is, you know? And you know, so soils, you know, why is it important? So it's nicely covered without being too dense. You know, so it's really, I think it balances. It's, you know, sort of it's balanced in terms of not being too, you know, technical and off-putting, and then being, you know, you don't feel like you're being talked down to or something. So that's kind of an overall general, I appreciate the way it was written. And certainly the beginning really does make it clear. It's almost very hammered home that it should be used, you know, who it can be used, who it should be most useful for, and that you really do hope it is used by people like elected officials and those in planning boards and zoning boards. So I think that's covered really well too. So I'm still looking through, you know, I didn't find the time to read it all, and but part of that is because I get bogged down literally in the bog, in the habitats and wildlife and whatnot. So it's all very, very interesting to me, and I just think I'm happy to, you know, if I come across anything else as I continue through it, I'm happy to send some things on. Just trying to think if there's anything I missed as far as some specifics. You know, I'll just provide some one or two things. Should I send an email to you, Amanda or Janelle?
Yes.
Or
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great.
I'll send it to you, Amanda, and just a couple little points that is there a deadline for, as like I said, I didn't finish it, and I know you asked us to do, you know, it was very kind of you to ask us try to settle on 2 chapters. That I wasn't satisfied with that myself, so I'm still, working through it. Is there a deadline for feedback, or was that tonight?
Well, absolutely, we'll be happy to get the feedback from y'all on what you found or what you think about it. What our goal is to be able to provide this back to the consultant. And, if there's anything that's inaccurate or isn't complete enough, then we want to address that. We also want to get a handle on the thoughts about the online, where the glitches, not the glitches, but where the snags are for people trying to use it, where people, and maybe, you didn't spend a day working with it. You just spent, maybe a half an hour and you ran into some things and don't, is it get frustrated or say, is it my computer or what's the problem? So we do want to just try to get an idea of where people get hung up so that we can help design the training. And I think that Nate Nardi Cyrus is going to work with us on that to present something later this, maybe in June or something, put something together that we can do. And then I think it was a really good suggestion last night from the village board that of course that be recorded so that it could be available on the website for people. So when FIX just go and pull this thing up, they could also have that as a resource, that would perhaps provide some some instruction, like a tutorial thing in a way about how to use it if you're sort of not a real GIS geekster and it is not familiar with you. Although I have to say, I did just kind of randomly do a beta test with some neighbors, and one person was telling me he got but he said after he spent a little time with it, he figured out, more about how to use it. So some of it is just you have to take the time to play with it and see what it does.
Amanda, I had this.
It opens.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I just thought when I was scrolling through it, when you go to visitor centers and there are these little set kiosks where you look through and you see all the stuff about the area, how cool would it be to go to Mohonk Preserve, to the visitor center, and have a little kiosk where you could look up all the different land areas in our town and in our area, where people could see what kind of land is there, and just see all that information, and everything that you put in there would be available in a set little box with a computer, so that everybody who shows up there can actually see the land and see the history.
That would be totally
very cool.
That would be really cool. We hadn't actually, so we hadn't really thought, boy, we need these creative out of the box types. This is great. Because our goal was to, eventually get it to the point where you guys are happy to then pass a resolution to adopt it. And it would be on the town websites, and the hard copies of the reports would be at the town hall, and the village hall, and the library, and at some of the different committees with the planning board secretary, the ENC board secretary, things like that. So it's available as a reference tool. But the idea of getting it out where people might just, be walking by, because otherwise, if you don't know to go look for it, then you don't know it's there. And it's such an amazing compendium of so much information. We did not, no one generated new data for this report. This was going out and scrambling and scratching through all of the references and reports and databases that exist that have anything to do with what happens in New Paltz. But pulling that all together, I think it was something like 38 different citations. So pulling that all together and organizing it in a, hopefully a fairly accessible way, but one-stop shop where you can go find all this stuff instead of having to, go yourself trying to search through different things. So that's a great idea, and we could certainly approach Mohonk, and yeah, that would be a great idea. Maybe there would be, we haven't talked to them about it. They don't probably even know we're doing this, so that's a good idea.
Janelle here. Sorry that I'm having to join you by phone and not a great connection, but I just want to thank all of you for the time that you spent, playing around with it. And it goes without saying, Amanda has just been a fantastic lead on this project, and I have eternal gratitude to Amanda for her professionalism just leading us through this. Julie, I think you asked, what's the deadline? I guess it, in a sense, Amanda, correct me if I'm wrong, but the next joint board meeting would be kind of a deadline, because that's when we would ask for the resolution to be jointly passed.
Right, so that was kind of the next part, is once we are able to address your comments, then we would get back to you with the final version, because this is we sort of the penultimate draft, but obviously there's some things that can still be improved, and get that out. So our target had been, I think it's the 12th of May is the next joint town and village board. So we would have everything back to you before then, or with an explanation about why technically there may be, issues to doing what you're asking on the online thing, or it's beyond, the scope of our grant or something like that. I don't know. I mean, we'll definitely talk to the consultant about that. Then we would hope to also have sent you a draft of a resolution for accepting and adopting the NRI, and also stating an intent to use it as a reference tool for local planning, for any amendments to the master plans, or any development of future environmental policy and implementation, but as a reference tool, not as a requirement to any particular groups, but as a, making it available to help the activities and the actions and decisions that are taken by planning boards and environmental boards, and maybe even the community preservation plan group, just as available. So that would be, I think we would put it as a joint resolution for both the town and village to pass. So if we send you that draft, you can tell us.
Do we really need, once we're adopting the plan, we're saying that, we've adopted the plan. I'm not sure what a resolution from us adds to that.
Well, how do you adopt it if you don't approve a resolution to adopt it? I'm thinking that's the mechanism, but
I think we adopt the plan, just like we adopted the community preservation plan, the open space plan. I mean, we have to, we adopt it with a resolution, but I don't.
Right. So that's what I thought. Yeah. So you adopt it with a resolution, or what's the?
I'll make a motion to adopt the.
Yeah, I think we're talking about the same thing. It's just how formal we do it or not. But it's a simple motion that we can make at the table, just like any of our other agenda items.
Okay.
We don't need to pass a law. We don't need to. Right.
Yeah, no, we're not expecting that. We just want something that's, we have to have documentation to turn back into climate smart communities as part of the certification process. So we need, typically that's what they look for, is something like that. So you tell me if that's problematic for you in some way. Yeah, Janelle?
I agree. Yes. Go ahead, Neil.
It could be as simple as we send the minutes in.
Minutes from the meeting.
Okay, we'll go back and confirm.
I'd have to. Yeah, I'll go back. I'll go into the portal and I'll look specifically how that's worded, the documentation. I thought, from when Amanda and I talked earlier, that it needed to be a resolution, but I can, usually it's posted on the website. That's another way to document it, but I will check that and email all of you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I have one more quick thing, Amanda. I just found it. I've been scrolling to try to find it again. It's it's only one little sentence, but it says that NRI is also an educational tool for traditional K-12, which can help engage youth in the natural resources in and around New Paltz. And perhaps I missed, and I haven't gotten to it, that I did skip around a bit. So perhaps I missed that if that specific thing is discussed further anywhere in the report.
So I'm not quite sure, but certainly, I mean, when we make it available on the website, clearly it's available as a resource for any, you know,
Yeah.
anyone. So, but,
Good.
and yeah.
That's great. All I want to say, I guess, is that I think that's wonderful. And when I read that, I thought, wow, what if there was, you know, some committed people that we really reached out to, some, you know, teachers at the high school, or obviously that you mentioned K to 12, but obviously SUNY as well. But it would be neat to have a little mini group, you know, that of people that decided to be, you know, go forward with this and work together and support each other in helping students access it. And I love the idea K to 12. I mean, gosh, I'm trying to think of how there must be a way how it could be useful for younger kids too. I mean, they'll probably figure it out, but faster than we will.
Well, I would think
Isn't that the truth?
that that the teachers could find ways to use what's in there in some of the things they're presenting or discussing with the students.
Sure, of course,
Yeah.
yeah, that too.
But, yeah, that's
With the older students, certainly the direct use of the story map.
right. Just do it themselves. Yeah, that's a good one. And that's also to make me think about the training is to think about making sure that we include different ages for the you know, how to approach the training. But
Maybe we could have a 12-year-old do the training.
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys so much for the work you put on this too. It's really great, and it's a big undertaking.
Well, it has been, and we're really proud of it. And I think, like I said last time, there was about 20 people that have worked on this, you know, providing content, editing, reviewing, commenting, over 280 hours working with the consultants in these documents. So I think it really is quite compendial. And also our storyboard with the tabs and stuff, I think we're like a first in New York State with NRIs. A lot of communities are starting to do NRIs as documents, but I think our online and the accessibility of it is a little bit unique. Will probably be, hopefully people will see it and, you know, everyone will want to start doing it. But yeah, so we're happy with it. It's been a long year of getting it done, but we're so close. That's good. Okay, thanks.
Thanks. You guys ready to move on to item 2 on the agenda?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Janelle. Thank you.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss an ongoing lawsuit. And I'm going to pause the camera and send everyone in the waiting room. This should be very short. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm
Aye.
pausing. It is 7:48. It's 7:55. I've unpaused the recording and we're letting people back in. It is now 7:55. And I would like to make a motion to come out of executive session and to have our attorney respond to the lawsuit with the Econo Lodge involving the sex offender registry that we passed last November.
I'll second that. And Neil, just for members of the public who may not recall the action that we took in November, do you mind just kind of restating exactly what the aspects of that law was that we adopted?
Yeah, so in response to some concerns that residents had about a large number of recently released sex offenders living at the Econo Lodge on 299 in New Paltz, we passed a law that required a limit on the total number of sex offenders at a single hotel. And based on the level of offense, 1, 2, or 3, you could add those up and have a total number of points. I think it was 12 points total. So you could have 2 level or 4 level 3s, or 3 level 4s, or and that they needed to register. And we passed that law. We have not talked a lot about it. We were hoping that the we could kind of get it beyond the statute of limitations, but they've sued us and they're trying to overturn it.
This is
They-
what he's saying about the discussion.
I'm gonna have to,
I already did.
okay, thanks. So yeah, so they're trying to sue us to overturn that law. And, so we're gonna have Joe respond to the lawsuit.
Great, thank you. Appreciate the update on that. And I do believe that was seconded as well.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's see, I'd like to make a motion to approve and authorize items 3A through 3M on the consent agenda.
Second for discussion, please.
Yes,
Just on the item regarding the New Paltz Rescue Squad contract, we haven't heard from Chief Goodenow in quite some time. He's obviously had a lot to handle during COVID, but the last time I think we heard from him was in the budget process 2 budgets ago, when there was some real challenges on meeting their financial needs. I'd love, Neil, if you would be willing to contact him and have him scheduled to come just present on the state of the rescue squad to the
Sure.
town board. I think that would be awesome.
yeah, this is unchanged. They did not ask for any more.
Yep.
It's the same amount as last year. I think they recognize that, we're pretty constrained as well. But I agree. I would like to have an update and a discussion with them. So I will make sure that I'll try to schedule him to come and talk to us soon. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. So I second that, the consent agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So motion to approve the hiring of part-time dispatcher Cole Nicholas.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to authorize and request to expend $6,365 from the Police Department Computer Reserve Fund to purchase extended warranty for 2021, 2022 on the WatchGuard in-car cameras, body-worn cameras, and software.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This next one, this is a water sewer customer, number 255-0. This is, as we're redoing all of these meters. So this customer has been living at this address for 20 years, which is 80 quarters. But they only added sewer service in 2016, so for 13 quarters. And then when we swapped out all the meters, we charged them for the water that they used for those 20 quarters. And then at the same time, we charged them for the sewer that they used for 20 quarters, but they actually didn't have sewer for all of those 20 quarters. So we're giving them a refund for when they didn't even have sewer. And we're reducing it. They only had sewer for 16.25% of the period of that whole time. So we're just correcting that amount. So the water meter didn't change at all, but usually it's like the water meters for the water and the sewer. But since they didn't have sewer, we can't really charge them. We shouldn't charge them, and so we're rebating them that amount. Is that clear?
I'll second the motion to issue that refund.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And so this next one is, and Chris Klixner is here. He came to the meeting. So Chris is, hey, Chris, you guys, Chris, the new hire at the, he's the coordinator up at the recycling center. Been up there a couple of months now, maybe.
Almost two.
Chris and I have been meeting pretty regularly, maybe at least once a week, if not more. I've been going up there. I don't know if you've had a chance to go up there. Made some really nice changes that, I've been going there for years, and they just moved some of the dumpsters around, and it's just like, wow. And I think sometimes it takes a new person looking at something to kind of see it in a whole new way. And I think Chris has really done that. And it's been really nice. And so, Chris and I were talking a couple of weeks ago, and one of the ideas is to, the goal up there is to always try to increase service, right? And not everyone works a 9-to-5 job, and or a lot of people do work a 9-to-5 job, and some people do, some people don't. But the idea is we don't have evenly distributed usage up at the reuse center. Tuesdays are a really low day. About half the number of people go on a Tuesday than go on say a Saturday or a Friday or something. And so, Chris's idea is that, and everyone is on board with this up there, is to shift to 4 10-hour days. And so that would let some people go in early in the morning, maybe before they go to work, before it would traditionally open. So you could go by there at 7 o'clock in the morning on your way to work, and you wouldn't have to then maybe go on a Saturday if you were working 9 to 5 every day. And so, and I think it also lets them maybe take on longer, they may have longer periods of time during a single workday to kind of get something done. Also, in the summertime, it's not as hot at 7 in the morning. The highway department does 4 10-hour days in the summer just because it's cooler. And so I told Chris I'd bring it to the board and see what people thought. We can always try it out, see if it works. We can always kind of switch back. But Chris also said he wanted to come and answer any questions that you guys had. So he's here, and I'll open it up.
I had one question. Are there any businesses that traditionally use it every day that come in and have it as a service because they are, picking up somewhere and having a daily use of it? Or is that not?
The only thing that would come close to anything with that would be a landscaping company that comes in and drops brush off. That's the only every day, not even every day, but more regular visitors that we're getting. And I could pinpoint it probably down to 2 specific landscaping companies that come in, and they're both very good with us. So
Okay. So they would be okay with not having a day when they could come and deposit stuff, so they could hold on to stuff and do it the next day.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then one other question was, again, this is something we're trying out during the spring and summer months because it's nicer, it's longer light. But if we're open later during the winter months, is there lighting set up so that we can keep?
Well, here's the thing. Here. Sorry to cut you off. The added hours would be geared more towards the morning. There wouldn't be a change in the evening hours. We would still lock the gate at 4:45, and our schedule would roll till 5:15. We would just bump the 2 hours every day added on into the morning schedule. Right now we punch in at 8:45, so we bump that back to 6:45 and open the gates at 7. I will say that I have seen people waiting at the gate. There are some early morning people. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't want to use this as an example, but I have worked at another transfer station before. You guys are aware of that. And I will say that we were at 7:30 in the morning, we opened, and there was plenty of mornings that I pulled in at 7:15, and there was a handful of cars waiting in the road to come in to drop off before they go to work.
I think early morning makes a lot of sense. A lot of businesses start really early, so I'm fine with that.
And just the few weeks that I've been there, we've done, like Neil had mentioned, we've done some landscaping around to try and spruce up the facility a little bit. But as time is going on, and we will get a little busier once the weather gets nicer, and as the world starts to come back to some sort of normalcy, I think it would be more advantageous for us to be able to do our facility maintenance early in the morning. And that way, as the day picks up, because what I've noticed is somewhere around 10, 11, noon, in that range is when a lot of residents start coming out and, visiting the reuse and the recycling center. So if we were able to get our facility maintenance done in the morning, then that would enable all 3 of us to devote our attention to the customers that are coming in through the reuse center and using the recycling center. We are starting to get an uptick in people purchasing compost and mulch. So that's another thing too. And plus, this will also allow us, if we're coming in earlier, to make more deliveries during a daily basis. Right now, we're dealing with one 1-ton dump truck. We could put about 4 loads of compost, 4 or 5 loads of mulch in there. But if we're coming in 2 hours earlier, that'll give us 2 hours early to be able to make deliveries for those. And we do make some pretty decent money off of the deliveries.
I just, go ahead, Julie.
All right. I was just wondering, so I might have missed something. There's some noise here. When a little bit ago, when you were talking about the new hours, would there be any day that it's open late?
We, like I said, we would always be there till the gate closes at 4:45 every day. That's as far as I know, and it predates me. That's how it's always been, I think.
Mhm.
We could potentially look at something to adjust, that, but like it was brought up earlier, once the weather heads back towards the winter months and it starts to get dark around 4:45, 4:30, 4 o'clock, whatever it may be, that's when it might start to become a little more difficult for vision around the place. And then we're getting along lines of safety issues and stuff like that. There is some lighting, but I've never seen at night, in a dark sky, what the lighting that is there now actually illuminates throughout the facility. So
Yeah, I understand the winter hours and that it can be tricky to change hours seasonally and it gets confusing. So I just
yeah.
I just wondered if perhaps you don't know, but maybe I'm curious about whether historically people have requested later hours. For example, on one day.
In all reality, there's roughly 15 transfer stations located in Ulster County, and I believe we are the one that stays open the latest at 4:45. Yeah, I think most of them are around 4:30. Some of them are even earlier than that, and I do know that all of them close earlier than that on Saturday. Usually, some of them are even a half a day. Versus we're open till 4:45, and I mean we're there till 5:15. If somebody comes in and happens to catch our attention, we see them there. I have no problem. I've let people in already. I got a bag. Go ahead, no big deal. We're still there. I mean, and our close down procedure is not very extensive, so it's okay. If there's a straggler here and there, we're not going to turn somebody down like that.
Right. Thank you. Sounds good.
No problem.
Thanks, Chris, for this proposal, and really like this. Not only for early folks who before they even go off to work can get some R&R done, and also like this for quality of work-life balance that this offers our employees. I think we're going to see a lot more of the world moving toward 4-day work weeks, I hope, and I think it's great. And I think you're going to end up getting more visitors by taking off Tuesday and extending your hours on the other days. So
I think so too. And like I said, I'm one, I like to get myself involved in projects. I'm very big on the visual aspect. Yes, it is considered a transfer station, is essentially a dump, but that's no reason that it needs to look like it. And I invite all of you to stop out at any time. Like I said, we've already done some work around the facility. The main hill that's there as going up the entrance to the office was all dead brush, and we cleaned all that out and mulched it. Which in a sense, the way I look at it is we put a lot of mulch on that hill, put some big kind of like boulderish rocks, spruced it up a little bit. But as I look at it as that's a way to display our product, our mulch to the public when they come in and they ask about it, we could actually like take them down there and show them, well, this is what potentially a finished product could look like. So it's kind of like an in-house advertising maybe for us as well. And like I said, I like to get myself involved in projects. I feel I have a pretty decent team with me right now who also enjoys doing that. And the 10-hour days, I think we would be able to accomplish more in that regards.
Do we need something from the board, Neil, to approve some of this? What's needed?
I don't think this was kind of like an internal management thing, but I don't think we really need anything. But I wanted to make sure it is a bit of a change, and I think some people like change is hard in New Paltz, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that there was some concurrence on the board, and I think it was also a chance for Chris to kind of come back and give people an update. But and it seems like if people are mostly in favor of it, I'd like to tell Chris that they could move forward and give it a try.
My only concern is are the employees, current employees, all okay with the change as well, Chris?
Yep, absolutely. I've
They
discussed
are.
this with them multiple times. Everybody's on board with it. They're pretty enthusiastic about it, to be honest.
Great, great.
I think 100% they're behind it. That's like what I've heard anyway.
Then we
I
just,
think-
then we just got to get the word out, Neil. If you're going to make the decision that the public will know and people don't show up on Tuesday all mad.
Yeah, no,
And
I
I
think,
think I would do it. I would take it out of my budget. I would go ahead and look into it. I would look into getting a new sign for the initial entrance gate with updated hours, so that if somebody does pop in on a Tuesday, they're able to see that sign versus the town hall and secretary getting bombarded with phone calls about, there'll be some kind of sign there. It maybe $100, something along those, nothing too extensive, just something to, promote the new hours.
Chris, it might not be a bad idea if you're going to do that, to do it ahead of time. So give people a month, to say, hey, on this date is the date we're going to start only having these days. So
Okay,
they have time to prepare.
right. I
I mean,
agree.
I do agree that I think we should have a little bit of a leeway here.
Yeah.
And we're not going to reach everyone, but I think if we can get.
we often close on Tuesdays, right? So we've been closing on Tuesdays whenever there's a Monday holiday. We close on Tuesdays already. So I think some people are somewhat used to that. But I think with with some information ahead of time and a little bit of a lead time, I think we can make this work, and then we'll see how it goes. And give it a try, and we'll reassess it. But I think I'm optimistic. I'm hoping it works.
Me too.
Great,
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Let's see, the next one is 8. So this is for buildings and grounds. This is for 2 kind of full-time seasonal workers in buildings and grounds. We advertised for some part-time workers to help with the snow this past winter, and so we're going to be bringing on some part-time workers, full-time workers. Seasonal workers that are going to be working full-time, and we have an ad, and so this is just a motion to put that ad out and start getting people to apply. And then right now we can use the people that we brought in for the snow on a temporary basis, but we really want to get these people in and start having them work 40 hours a week by June. So we'll put the ad out there, we'll get some responses back, and then hopefully we can hire some people. So my motion is to put the ad out.
Second, Alex?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And so the next one is this river stewardship project, the Watershed Alliance, Wallkill River Watershed Alliance, which in full disclosure, I am part of. I'm on the board. They are writing a grant to the Hudson River Estuary Program to begin to adopt a boat launch, but it's kind of more complicated than that. It's really, they want to adopt boat launches along the Wallkill and work with communities that have the launches, and maybe they'll improve access by putting like a pad, like a rubber pad in. So when people walk in and out, they're not storing up sediment, which helps with our MS4s. They may just work with people to kind of adopt an area, and those like adopt a highway, and that group will like take care of the maintenance and pick up the trash. Maybe they'll get someone to sponsor it, like the village did for Sojourner Truth, where they put out picnic tables, or they may just put out a sign and say, explaining that river and do education and stuff. And so they're looking for partners to kind of work with them. And I said that I would bring it to the board, and I'd say that I would like to say we'll partner with them, and then that kind of helps us or helps them move forward and approach other towns, saying like, look, we already have New Paltz, the town of New Paltz involved. Would you like to be involved as well? I think they want to approach OSI and the Wallkill Valley Land Trust, maybe the village, maybe some other towns. They want to get 4 different specific spots along the Wallkill. They want to talk to the county, maybe like enhance the launch area at the fairgrounds that a lot of people don't even know about, and just get people down. near the water, into the water, and then they'll be like, hey, why isn't this river cleaner? And then it gets cleaner. And so my motion is to work with the Watershed Alliance to say that we will participate in this grant with them as, you know, one of our locations. And, you know, I think for us, it's probably, they may want to put a sign up at the Springtown Bridge or something like that, because I don't think we don't have any launches really.
That was my question, Neil. So I was wondering if we would be involved because we're landowners of any of the.
We're not. We don't really have any public launches in the town, but we have the bridge that goes over the Wallkill, and so they may want to put a sign there saying this is the Wallkill River or something like that, or maybe they want to have they work with someone who wants to pick up trash there and something. They also part of it is all. This is part of our MS4 program too. They provide a lot of the education. So this kind of ties in with, we would count this as education towards our MS4 program of, educating people about stormwater runoff.
One thought that I had, Neil, and I really don't know too much about how the organization works or the grant works, but apart from these sites, it would be really nice if the educational component involved people from Kinston and Poughkeepsie who would normally not have access to going on a river. Latino community, people of color who really have never gotten on a kayak or a canoe on a river. So I don't know if that's a component, if they could work with people in any of those cities to have that be part of the educational component, or is that reaching far?
I mean, I think usually like the education is usually like they'll put like pamphlets together or signs out at they don't like teach classes or anything. Like education is more like they provide information. But I think at some point, I mean, I think one of the ideas they were talking about, like, maybe like story sessions or groups at, organizing that at some of the launches. And so I think that it could lead to that later on. Certainly if they get to other towns.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And this next one is the, we're still kind of working out the details. We're still working out the details with this, but because of the vaccination site at the fairgrounds, the Taste of New Paltz can't do their annual event down at the fairgrounds. So they were trying to talk to us about maybe doing it at the Field of Dreams. And so we're still trying to, we have to check with Joe. I mean, I think there's some, we need to make sure that we're allowed to actually rent things out. Joe, I think, was like, well, I think we're not allowed to rent things out for people to make money. But I think maybe we didn't explain it to him because we rent things out all the time. Like, the community center, we already rent out the Field of Dreams to different organizations. So I think we just need to, maybe I didn't explain it well enough to Joe, but I think they're interested in knowing if we can do it. And I want to see if the board was interested in is that something, Chuck has walked out there with them. There's a place where they can do it. It's not going to impact the fields at all. I think it could, it gives them an opportunity to bring people to New Paltz, not just for the event there, but then people come and they go to the other shops in town. So I would like to have it in New Paltz if we can. I don't really want them going somewhere else because I want everyone to come here and help out our businesses and stuff like that. So we're going to try really hard. And if the board's okay, my motion would be that, I'll keep talking with them and we'll try to figure this out if the board thinks it's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't even know if we need a motion to authorize you to do that, but I do think it's a great idea.
It's a little non-conventional, so I want to make sure, like, okay, you guys on board with this, or
when would it be?
I don't know.
Usually early, I believe it's usually early September.
So too, I'm not even convinced the state site, don't write this, Terrence. We don't know how long that state site will be there as well. but if we can get some revenue out of it and lock it up for them in advance, that'd be great too.
Yeah, they would also, we would get a pretty good payment out of this as well,
right.
which
Yeah, I
would
agree.
help
I think that'd
help
be
the
good.
town and help us with planting more grass or just help with our general revenue. So
It brings in a lot of people. It's a really cool event. Yeah.
and it doesn't. I think it's Memorial Day this year, actually, now that I think about it, because I think I remember Chuck saying that there are no conflicts with any of the sports teams that use the Field of Dreams, except possibly the lacrosse team, and that's a Monday, and they wouldn't be having probably not having anything on Memorial Day weekend anyway. But maybe I'm mixing it up with some other thing that's going on. There's a
All right. Well, if Terrence was planning on quoting, I'm sure the vaccination site will be there for Memorial Day.
so.
So it would be this group you're saying that would rent it out? Is that what it is?
It's,
That
Taste of New Paltz. Normally they rent the fairgrounds.
Right. So there is a group that organizes this.
It's the chamber.
Maybe it's it's pretty. I mean, it's a big deal. It's pretty complicated. So yeah.
Well, I've been to it, but I was just wondering if, in terms of answering those questions, like we're not the organizers, so we.
No, we just they would contact Chuck, just like anyone else who wants to rent out the Field of Dreams contacts Chuck, and we're normally not involved at all. But I think this is something new for us. So. And we're also we're stepping in and helping them out. It's also pretty close to where it normally is. So it's not that big a difference for a lot of people who would like, oh, I'm going to Taste of New Paltz. And instead of parking and walking across the street one way, you walk up the hill the other way.
Right.
And so we're trying to keep things as similar as possible for them.
Yeah,
I would masks, maybe like that idea that maybe requiring masks or requesting masks or something.
That's all decided by the county and the state. But I'm sure, I have no doubt that everyone would, if it's in May, it's all going to be masks and crowd size limited and everything else.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, I'd like to see Chuck bring in as much revenue on the Field of Dreams as possible, assuming that we're not hurting our fields. And
I think they're not even on the fields. This is up near the pavilion. Then we said they couldn't. They're not going on the fields just because it would be too much damage. So we said they could go to another area. And Chuck went up there and looked at it with them, and they said, yeah, we can work here.
Great. That sounds like that's what Chuck's supposed to be doing. So let's let him do it.
Great. All right. Then that's it. So I have the April warrant. I'd like to make a motion to approve the April warrant in the amount of $881,942.52.
Second.
Did I say that right? 881,942.52. Great. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Great. Aye. That's it. Motion to adjourn.
Second, David.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.